Hey there and happy Monday. So I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving weekend. I know I touched base with you on Friday and such, but after that I went Black Friday shopping and got some nice warm boots. Saturday took in another football game of my son's college team and they won, and so that means they move on. So now there's just 4 teams in the NAIA division left in the nation. He's one of them, so it's so exciting. Hey there, Chris. And with that, then I'm really thankful for warmer boots for the next game. So with it being Monday, I'm back on track for designing a card for you. So here I have a Christmas card with the Ringed with Nature bundle, and this is my card number 6 for the month of November in my series of 8 that I'm demoing for my 8-pack of cards. So let's see. I was trying to think if there's anything else over the weekend to catch up on. Sometimes if something has changed with Stampin' Up, I try to let you know, but I think it was kind of quiet, which is okay. I like quiet. So let me see here. Yep, I've got my iPad caught up so that I can turn this around and get you the card as shown here. There we go. So now you can see what the card looks like. Lots of texture to that, and something that I haven't done for a while for you guys. I challenged myself today to not use any designer series paper, but I ended up kind of just making my own there. But still, it's not designer series paper. I was realizing more and more how much I was using designer series paper. It's because I love it when people say, how do you get your ideas? Honestly, a lot of times I pull out a pretty pack of designer series paper, and that becomes my inspiration for my designs, and it just gives a quick like combination of colors to use too. So there's nothing bad about that. That's why it's my go-to, because I'm often color challenged. So from the mini catalog on pages 62 and some of the samples on 63, you can see there's a hybrid embossing folder, and I've done a lot with that too. And so because of that, I thought I'm just going to use the embossing folder as it was, you know, meant to be just an embossing folder. I've done a lot with making these little tree bark things and pieces for you. And I'm also pulling in a bonus sample. This is from my team member, Joy, and she came up with this beautiful creation. So I'm like, oh, I have to show this off because this is so pretty. And I love this kind of natural, neutral looking color combination. So I kind of use that as the start of my inspiration, and then just pulled in a little bit more of a Christmassy color to go with that. So that's where that is all located. And I did think about putting like a tree ring in the background or whatever, but I didn't want to cover up the design just because I was using kind of this chunk here. I didn't want to cover up more of that. So I thought, oh, I kind of just like the simplicity of the card, and hopefully you will too. And when it comes to making Christmas cards, don't we all kind of do a like a whole bunch? Like when it comes to Christmas time, not often do we make like just 1 or 2 of something. We're making multiples. So I thought this would make a good card design if you are making multiples and like to kind of mass produce or assembly line make that happen. So hi there, Renee. Thanks for popping in. All right, so I think to start here, I'm going to run my piece of crumb cake through my embossing folder. But first, here's my color combination: Very Vanilla, Crumb Cake, and Cherry Cobbler. So this piece here is 4 by 5 1/4, and just going to get out my cutting pad number 1 when it's a 3D embossing folder. Then the other one that I use is number 4 here. So these are the 3D tree rings hybrid embossing folder. And as you've seen in the past, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it, but these tree rings dies have all sorts of little dies. And then these can cut out some of those rings and such too. And then this one, I always think it looks like a pop holder, like if you buy 6 packs of bottles, that looks like what it should be. But this fits inside if you want to die cut and emboss at the same time. But I'm just using just this today. But just want to reference, if you get the tree Rings Hybrid Embossing Folder, it all comes together. It's not a 2-pack that you buy separately. So I'm just going to put this in here. Hey there, Michelle. Thanks for joining in. And run that through. I always feel like the 3D embossing folders, even though they seem very thick, probably has the smoothest ride through the cut and emboss machine. You hardly notice it going through, but look at the depth that the 3D embossing folder gives us. Is that like cool or what? So that's going to be kind of the base there of my project. I'm going to set that aside. And then because the Ringed with Nature stamp set is photopolymer, I'm going to get out my stamping Pierce mat here and do my stamping. So let me just grab some scratch paper. You can tell I've been doing Christmas designs. I've got some Christmas lights on there, but just grabbing that. And I'm going to start with some crumb cake ink here and pull out this image of the tree ring. Oops. Well, at least it landed where I wanted to. If it's going to slip out of my hands, at least it falls right on the ink pad right side up. Okay, so this I'm just going to kind of stamp out just a few times to kind of give it a design here and there and off the paper like so. So we've got those tree rings there. And then I'm going to switch gears and pull out my cherry cobbler, which is a nice deep Christmas red. People always say, what are your favorite reds for Christmas and such? I do a lot with Real Red, but cherry cobbler I always think is just a whole nother like rich level of pretty. So and there again, it might depend if I'm trying to match up my designer series paper or not too. Okay, so I'm just gonna stamp kind of this out here, there, and everywhere, and stamping a little bit off the paper too makes it look like the continuous design is going on. So that's just going to set there. And next what I'm going to do, oops, let me just put this up here, is with my stylish dies. I've been having those just laying out all the time because I use them so often. This is one of the banners that is stitched. So I'm just going to take a strip of Very Vanilla here and run that through my machine like so. If you have trouble, and I can't remember if I addressed this last week because I'm pretty sure I use this machine with this die on a different card for my virtual hostess Lois, stagger the plates. So if you ever see me kind of putting things through, like this is a pretty exaggerated stagger, it works for me and it works for the machine. So as long as where your die sits, like it's getting all the coverage of all the plates, otherwise you're going to have something partially cut, and that's not fun either. So I've got this, and like I said, a nice banner cut. Let me get the light on it better, and hopefully you can see that stitched outline too, which I love about the stylish shapes. So I'm going to pull that over here on my Pierce mat and get back out my cherry cobbler ink pad. And from Ringed with Nature, there is several sentiment options. So I'm using the Merry Christmas here. Inside I'll put love and warmth. There's happy anniversary, thinking of you, get well soon, just for you. So lots of sentiments as well as lots of different images and such too. So I have to remember this one because Valentine's will be kind of the next holiday that I'll start stamping, and I'll have to remember it kind of looks like a little artsy craftsy heart there. So I'm going to ink up with my cherry cobbler the Merry Christmas here. And as I pull that aside, it's very easy to line that up because it's photopolymer. Love that. Hi there, Tammy Jo. Thanks for watching. And that I can set aside too. And I think most of my stamping's done, at least for the outside part of the card. So now we can do the assembly, which comes together really easily. So I'm just going to take my adhesive here, my seal, and run that across the edges. And I kind of want to get pretty close and cover all the edges just because this is a 3D background, and that sometimes I want a little extra. I don't think we need to go to the extreme of using the seal plus at all, but just to know that you're getting a good supply on there too. And then I'm going to put these two pieces together, which I don't think I told you the measurements. So this is 2.75 by 4 1/4, and then I'm putting that on cherry cobbler, which is then 3 inches by 4.5 inches. And then I wanted to add some ribbon because I just kind of liked the feel of something kind of neutral for ribbon. And in the annual catalog, there's the Old Olive and Sahara Sand Twill Ribbon Combo Pack. And although I'm not using Sahara Sand ink or cardstock, I do love just the natural look that this gives the whole project. And I thought about wrapping this like around here, but because so little of that design is showing, I kind of wanted to optimize that, because once we put on this and we're covering some of that with ribbon, we kind of lose that. Hi there, Laura. So what I'm going to do then is just wrap this then around this little highlighted pop-up image that I've created with those stamps. So I'm just going to tie a knot. If you know me, I'm not big into bows, so it's just going to be a nice knot here. And there's just a little piece that started to fray, so I'm going to trim that off. And then I'm just going to square cut that like so. And now this is ready to go on top of here. And so I'm going to flip this over and put 4 dimensionals, 1 in each corner. And you might go, that's a pretty wide piece to have that missing, you know, dimensionals in the inside. But because of the bulk that dimensionals add to my projects, and knowing I'm going to pop this up in the middle, I'm kind of leaving this without dimensionals so that it can kind of sink in. So you're going to get the effect of popping this up against the background here, but then it kind of allows this to sink in for an added pop-up of this. Now I kind of wanted this to look like a flowing banner. You know how banners can look like they're kind of puffed up and such. And so sometimes if you do that and have that look, well, by the time you stick it in an envelope or something, it kind of loses that. But I thought, okay, how can I make that not happen? So I popped this over and I'm going to put 3 dimensionals right in the middle. So everything's going to stay popped up in the middle, and then I'm just going to put my adhesive, just the adhesive on the edges, so that gives that look in a fun way. So then as I put that on, you can see it has that puffed up look in a fun way. So just a little tip or technique there. And now to accessorize, which is always my favorite part of the card, I thought about going, you know, rustic here with the rusted metallic adhesive back dots. So what I did is I dared myself to try and drop this on there without it adhering on. And then I'm like, do I want rustic look because the card's rustic, or do I want to bring in a little bit of bling that's gonna kind of still keep it rustic, but give it a little bit more special Christmas look with the champagne rhinestones basic jewels. So then I kind of put one of these across the top like so, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. And I always call these champagne rhinestones my chameleon embellishments, because depending on if I'm using them with pink, they'll look pink. If I'm using them with brown, they'll look brown. If I'm using them with peach, it looks peach. And so I really have found lots of ways to use that. So now I'm going to pull that off, but I just wanted to show you guys, because some of you might have these or recreate my card and go, you know what, now I know that I like the rustic metallic adhesive back dots better than what Belle used, which is totally fine. And so with this sheet, there's 3 different sizes. So I'm going to take one of the larger ones here, if I can scoot that off with my take your pick tool, and then I'll take a medium one, just kind of scoot that there, and then have a tiny one up there. So we've got that going on our design. And actually, I'm trying to think, kind of gets covered up by the ribbon. I'm going to see if I can move that. Probably shouldn't try and attempt that on a live video, but it actually kind of peeled up pretty well, so I can tack that back down. Yeah, this is called going live, guys, right? So let me just add that on here. And I kind of like to just play around with things too for you guys, so you can see that I'm kind of a real person here. All right. Oh my goodness. It's like it's still sticky, but not wanting to stick where it's supposed to. It's wanting to stick to me. Okay. Okay, plan B, take a little mini glue dot that I've got here and stick it over the sticky. And hopefully this ends up in the right spot where I wanted it to, or I'll wish that I had it in a different spot, because now I think I'm going to want to move this one over just a little bit. Okay, now I think I've got them where I like them. I like them there a little bit. And I think part of it will depend, every card that I make, kind of where my tree rings end up and my poinsettias, like my sample, looks maybe just a little bit different. There's more open spaces kind of where I placed them too. But like I said, every card's going to be a little bit different. And this is a card this is the card I need to finish in the inside for you guys. And so for that, I'm going to pull aside, again, my Stampin' Pierce mat here. And for the inside, I'm just going to re-stamp that ring in Crumb Cake and then re-stamp the poinsettia image in the cherry cobbler. And now for my inside sentiment to coordinate with the Merry Christmas, I'm just going to stamp love and warmth. And I love that font there. It's very easy to read, and I love that that just coordinates with the front of the card like so. So there you have it, a quick and easy card. Like I said, for Christmas cards, there's some for people that I love to make super special and go all out with all the details and such. And then there's some that I like that are easier like this to just mass produce and get a whole stack and feel like I've accomplished a lot. Both my husband and I come from very large families, and so our Christmas card sending list easily gets to 200 just with a lot of close family and friends and such. So I'm always looking for ways that I can accomplish the task of always sending out a hand stamped Christmas card, and yet not making it seem like it took me all year to do all those cards. So this is card number 6 out of 8 for the month of November. How you can get my my set of 8 cards is either order a minimum $75 order using the special host code that I've posted there, and I'll also post it with a still shot of today's card, or like somebody did today, she just texted and said, Belle, I want your cards for this month, and then they're $25, which includes shipping to you as well. So that's all I have for today. Hey there, Donna, and I'll be back tomorrow afternoon with card number 7, and I'm winding down. Remember, half of my cards are going to be all occasion and half are going to be Christmas. So I've got one of each yet to make for you guys. So take care. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.